going on, people? Welcome to the Progressive Action. We gonna call this the conversation. I got my boy Zaire. Zaire, what's up, bro?
What's going on? How's everybody doing?
I got Nuke, Progressive Action. What's up?
Hi.
I got my boy Kemp Alexander. You might as well be Progressive Action too, man.
What's going on? I gotta get a fancy Progressive Action T-shirt. I don't know. I'll tell you, a month and a half. I gotta see how much they cost online.
We got my boy Triple G. What's up, Triple G?
What's up, man?
I see you, man. Try to keep that camera still, bro. You're gonna make me sick over here. He just went mute. He don't even know. And we got Jenae. She's representing she gonna represent stations today. What's up, Jenae?
Hey, everybody.
Now, I think the only civilian here is Zaire, so he could bring us a perspective from outside of the transit worker shoes of what's going on, this whole pandemic, being a passenger in New York City Transit, and you know what he feels should be better during this whole thing. What I want to do though is that I want to start this off with a video. I'm gonna start this off with a video, and it's of the governor of his press conference today, where he gave some type of percentage of people who was riding the subways while they was sick. So let's start off with that video and see, and we would discuss it when we come back.
The question that is being debated right under the surface, and the decisions we make on reopening are really profound decisions. Fundamental question, which we're not articulating, is how much is a human life worth? How much do we think a human life is worth? There's a cost of staying closed, no economic cost, personal cost. There's also a cost of reopening quickly. Either option has a cost. You stay closed, there's a cost. You reopen quickly, and there's a cost. The faster we reopen, the lower the economic cost, but the higher the human cost, because the more lives lost. That, my friends, is the decision we are really making. What is that balance? What is that trade-off? Because it is very real. If you now look at the projection models of how many lives will be lost, you'll notice they changed recently. Why did they change? And they went up
hold on one second.
dramatically.
Zaire,
Why?
let me cut that off real quick.
Now they're factoring in the reopening 20% and the reopening schedules.
Zaire, we discussed something like that earlier. I think it was yesterday, and we was talking about, you know, economic versus human life. Now, you are basically a civilian in this. You hear the governor say that. What you think about what he said?
Well, the truth of the matter is, once you even could get to the point where they're trying to figure out economics or human life, you already lost, because that means they're not even working with the people, because the people that look like us are the people that are outside. So that's what they're really saying. Like, you know, it's a class thing now, and this is what we're going to find as things move, as things progress. You're going to see that, you know, the racial aspect is going to now meld into the class aspect, and the people that are in the class of the working class that still have to go to work, because that working class is what then makes money for that 1%. So right now, without the working class working, they're being hit economically. We're hit economically, but they're hit economically as well. So now they're going to try to trade off. Does it make sense to make money or or lose some lives? And the answer is going to be that they are going to open back up, because that's what they feel is important. That economy, what they're telling you right there is that the economy is worth more than a life. If you listen to, for the last month, you had numerous senators, you've had the president, now you have Cuomo as well. They've integrated into their conversation that there will be loss of life. Now, the more they tell you that there's going to be loss of life, and the more you hear it, it'll start to become natural that people are going to die from this. So they're hoping that it'll become less impactful to you, and that it was necessary for us to get our economy back, for us to get back to work, for us to get things back to normal, that there has to be a margin of human life loss. And the quicker they can get you to accept that, then it won't be then it won't be a problem to them any further. So I think we have to kind of push back on that. And that might be a personal thing. And some people might have to sacrifice their personal economies if they want to take a stand. But the more of this dialogue that you hear that tries to normalize death in lieu of opening businesses back, once that becomes the norm and people buy into that, it's downhill from there. That means they sold you on it. And so it'll be so hard to turn this thing around. Once they let it go, it'll be a terrible thing at that point.
What you think about that, Jenae?
Well, I'm pretty much in agreement that, like, you know, if we open up too soon, it's going to be more casualties, especially in the Black and brown community. Majority of New York City, especially the people who take the train and stuff, are Black and brown people. So I feel like if we open too soon, it's definitely going to be casualties. As you can see, in our entity alone, we have so many deaths as it is. So, like, I feel like when we do open back up, it needs to be slowly, and it needs to be efficient in order for us to thrive afterwards.
Triple G.
I'm in a complete agreement also. They still don't even know if you can get the coronavirus a second time. So imagine if they open back up and try to get things back to normal. And then because we haven't even really have we gotten the second wave yet, or the third wave? Because normally these things come in waves. So if you open back up too soon and we don't even know if we can get it again, we'll be right back at ground zero in a matter of weeks, because this thing spreads like wildfire. So I think thinking about the economy is a bad decision all the way around. We got to think about human life at this point. You know, in our agency, New York City Transit, more people died in certain states. I know you mentioned on your show, I know you mentioned it a couple of times on a couple of different shows, which was a good point, that if New York was a country, it'd be one of the leading countries in the world for coronavirus deaths. Mm-hmm. So what's the hurry? I know hundreds of people have died already, but especially in our career field, New York City Transit, definitely things need to slow down. It's already over 100 deaths. What's the hurry? It's to the point now where they're finally cleaning the trains. And they told me, some people at New Lots told me that as long as the crews leave the operating cab doors open, that the cleaners are actually going in the cabs, as long as they leave them open. So they're finally doing the right thing to rush us all back to work. It's gonna, I think it's a big mistake. There's still too much information that we don't know medically to rush people back to work. A lot of people, I know, not to make you the guinea pig, Tramel, but you just said that when I spoke to you the other day that, because of your asthma, your breathing still isn't at 100% at times. And it's been almost a month for you now?
5 weeks. Yeah.
So what's the rush? Let's say you rush back and then you get corona again. Then, who say that the antibodies built up to where if you get it again, you'll do better. You might, of course, we don't want you to do worse, but there's always a possibility,
Yeah.
So it's just too much. There's What's going on? There's too much death in New York City Transit. I know our job is essential, but they treat us like our lives are expendable.
I agree. Alexander, what's your thoughts?
I think whatever we know, they know probably 12 steps ahead of this. Whatever plans they implement now, they've probably talked about in February. Whatever they're talking about doing in the next 2 months, they probably already known since December. They've always had an agenda to try to reduce schools, cut budgets. How all of this plays out, it always comes down to money, right? You always have to follow the money and listen to the words that people use when they reference who's expendable, how they're willing to open up, where they opened up first, how they're going to implement opening up the city in phases. They're about to gut every piece of excess that they've always wanted to. The governor released the other statement yesterday about how schools are probably never going to go back to the same model. They're going to close probably a third of the schools, pay people to stay home, right? I mean, if you're distance learning now, they said they were working with the Gates Foundation and Bill Gates' wife on figuring out a better model to have kids learn at home, better technology, more interactive, with probably have a teacher with a 3D show up in your living room and send the parents a $1,500 check every month. You access a teacher, you access a pension, you access a payroll, you can cut people from the DOE. In their last contract, they can basically get fired basically if there's no work. So if you close a school right now, if there's no budget for teachers, the school loses that budget. So you can lay off 3 of the untenured teachers and send them packing. Same with us, right? I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do with transit, but they're putting a hiring freeze. At some point, they're gonna say the president didn't give them enough money and they gotta cut the fat. Who's that? I mean, they already showed you station agents, they're moving them outside, right? Again, it's a bad situation. I don't see it getting better. I don't see how a business coming back can afford to pay $10,000 a month rent when you have to actually continue social distancing, even if you open up. How can a restaurant with 100 people that have seats 2 feet away from each other now cut that staff into half or the service in half? You can only have 30 people in your restaurant. What are you going to charge for a steak? $60? And who can afford that, not knowing that 22 million people are unemployed right now? Like, who's going out to eat? With a job, I'm not going out to eat after this. I got I don't have $300 to just be throwing at dinners no more, not knowing what it's going to be in October. Nah, it is a perfect storm for capitalists to cut all their fat and eliminate the middle very efficiently.
Interesting point. Nuke, what's your thoughts?
Oh, well, pretty much I feel like they're subscribing to Darwinism, natural selection. They already pretty much said that the essential workers are expendable, and most of us are Black and brown. And I believe that they're capitalizing off the sentiment of, I can't wait for this to go back to normal. I can't wait for this to be over. So they're pandering to those people while also helping themselves out as far as the economy is concerned. So I'm more than skeptical about it. Like Gomez said, there's definitely going to be a second, third wave. So, but I think they're willing to take that risk. The people are just not that important. The money is.
I think so. You guys brought some interesting points, and I agree with each one of the points. You know, they were separate points, but it shows that we are all thinking on the same wavelength. Now, to everybody who's watching live right now, can you please do me a favor and share this video out via Facebook? Put it on your page, put it in your group, whatever. Please share out the video. Now we're gonna touch on actually that video was from the day before yesterday or something like that. We're going to get into the next video by Cuomo, where he's actually talking about the percentage of people that were sick on the trains. So let's discuss that one right now and see what's going on.
Bush contract cleaners, who are mostly made up of immigrants, were last night being paid $18 an hour to scrub the system of coronavirus. Now, Sarah, I know you've said that cleaners should get hazard pay, but that's still very much up in the air, especially in the private sector. And right now they're being paid pretty poorly. Do you think it's fair that these cleaners should be making such a low wage to disinfect the subway during a pandemic?
No, as you point out, I think that the folks who are cleaning our system, and particularly during a pandemic, should be given hazard pay. Their work is brutal, and so I think everyone who works for us should be given a fair wage.
Is $18 an hour a fair wage?
I think the folks who are cleaning our system should be paid hazard pay. I'm not going to debate the basics of what they start at, but I think they should be paid hazard pay at the moment.
The next question.
We definitely have to return to that one.
Well, the wrong video played.
The wrong audio, right?
No, it was the audio. The video ain't come up.
It was the wrong audio, but the right video, but the video didn't play. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let me get that back.
That one was
Feinberg.
wages for immigrants.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Let me see if it show up this time. Let me know if y'all see the video. No video?
No, now you're playing the video from the Sarah Feinberg.
From audio.
And Clayton.
No, did y'all see the video though?
It was the Clayton video. It wasn't the
video. Yeah. I'm saying, so when I played it before, y'all only heard the audio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you had the Cuomo background.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, so what y'all think about that audio that was played from Sarah Feinberg? Y'all could jump in whenever y'all want to jump in.
Oh, I feel like she dodged that question completely. She did not want to answer Clayton and tell him what she believed was a fair wage, because then she would have to come clean about whether or not she feel like she as in the MTA are paying their employees fair wages. So here you have non-unionized workers coming in, and the reporter is asking if $18 is enough to work during a pandemic. And what are our CTAs making?
I believe the starting pay is like $19.75. I believe it is.
Yeah, they top pay is what, like 29 now, I think.
Yeah, it's 29.
Okay, but either way, entry level pay would be the same amount as someone who's non-unionized, and she's offering hazard pay because it's safe. That's a safe conversation for her to have, because they already made it clear they expect the federal government to pay that. They don't want to pay it out their pocket. We can't even discuss it at negotiations. So that's what I have to say about that.
And Clayton, what he said about it was that, immigrant workers, and when you look at the workers who's actually doing the work, it's Black and brown people mostly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think they should have asked her, could you survive off of $18 an hour? That should have been the question back to her. But like I said, with these with a lot of these reporters, they don't really know the issues. So they speak from a position of they don't really know, but they think they know, and they think that they asking out the park questions. And some of them do. Some of them do very well. I forgot his name, but we go play his video today too. He actually had them tripping over each other's shoelaces and things of that nature. Zaire, what you think about that clip of her not being able to answer what's a fair wage?
Well, I work around a lot of these people in film and television, and we have a rule. It's he who says a number first loses, and that's always been a rule. Whenever we go into negotiations, if you say your number first, you lost, because that's why things take so long. So she knows that, and that's why you play it safe. You never say the number. That's like the bottom line thing. You never put yourself in a spot. She might have said, if she says a number, or if she says what's not low or what's too high, it kind of boxes her in, and then she has to work her way out from there. But if you never say a number, it's just her playing it safe. It's the tactic that they use to trade everybody's lives. Like, these are the people in the background that's really representing the rest of the people, and they're working it. It's a game to them. It's always been a game. Who's gonna come out on top? It's not really, is it gonna be best for you, the workers? It's really about, how can I make it best for me?
I got you. Triple G.
She answered that question the way I expected her to answer the question. because she is the president of transit, but she doesn't decide wages. And just like Andy, just like last contract, Andy wasn't involved with the contract supposedly. You know, she's going to play it safe. You know, she's been having a lot of bad media where, so she answered this exactly what I expected. I wouldn't have expected her to say anything else. You know, she's not going to, just like Zaire said, she's not going to say a number, because if she says a number, then she'll stick by it, but she doesn't have the power or the authority to even create the number that she'd say. So she's not, at least I don't think she's in that type of position of, you know, creating salary for people. So I'm not surprised by it. Do I think in a pandemic, $18 is enough? Everybody on this earth knows $18 isn't enough in a pandemic to have these people come leave their houses. But for these people to come leave their house, put their health, their family health at stake, New York City is ground zero for this pandemic in the United States. For them to be offering them $18 is really a slap in the face to me. I don't know who set that pay scale. I don't know if it was Cuomo. I don't know if
it's the company that they work for. You gotta understand, they independent contractors.
Contractors.
But they don't work.
Huh?
I thought it was city. So it's just a contract.
They contractors, yeah.
Okay, so they're not union contractors, because most of the time
they non-unionized workers.
That's a whole different ballgame right there. I don't even know how working in New York City, working for the city, is supposed to be unionized contract. That right there is a big red flag right there.
They gotta take what they can get right now. That's what that is.
But you know what goes with that, like especially in those companies, because how that works is they will get that company to get those workers, but they'll probably pay that company $50 an hour, and that company then gives them $18 an hour and keeps the rest of it. So that's the other thing that's going on with that as well.
I can tell you exactly
how it works.
The only difference between non-union and union pay is the benefit. As far as you being a non-company getting hired, or you being a union company, for the most part, your pay scale is the same. But it's all about what you pay your workers and the benefits you give your workers. But as far as what the MTA is paying, MTA is going to pay the same amount for a non-union company that they would pay for a union company. It's about the company not much money. It's not about the workers, you know, because this is a slap. It's embarrassment. The MTA needs to get it together, man. This is one of the only organizations that they just, why does everything have to go to the media, or everything has to be talked about for them to do the right thing?
Because there's so many titles. Because there's so many titles. We're so divided that the needs of every department, they just don't align with each other, right? I mean, we're literally talking about 50,000 members that, I mean, we could talk about the whole 80,000, right? We could talk about the people who work at 180 Livingston Street. We could talk about, they're all our coworkers in essence, but we all have different circumstances, right? They go to work and sit in the office. They're not essential. They're home getting paid. They're chilling out. They're ignoring our emails. You know, we're choosing whether we're going to die to try to get paid. Like, and then you have other people who, even if they go to work and if their overtime is cut, they feel like they're going to die. It is, we have been played down the road for so many years, and every contract we get weaker. A lot of those losses that help divide us and keep us needy, you'll never make those back up. And in regards to Feinberg, she's so disconnected with the workers. She has this elite, like, it's almost like it bothers her to even have to be in the same environment or speak on, like, yo, these guys, like it's torture for her.
I'll tell you about her though, bro. She has a lot of people lying to her. I had a conversation with her a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her, do you want to hear the truth, or do you want to be lied to? And she told me she wanted to hear the truth. But she has so many people, she has so many superintendents or these local supervisors or whoever's lying to her. Like, perfect example, the thermometers, the digital thermometers at Parsons and Archer were not. They weren't working for 2 days. So the second day, I contacted her about it, and local supervision told her that they just recalibrated them today, and the problem is fixed. So then she contacted me, and she was like, you know, the problem was fixed. There was only a recalibration, and I told her, and I was like, President Feinberg, we've had this conversation. I'm contacting you. It's the truth. Like they are lying to you. You know, local supervision is lying to you. The thermometers have not been working since yesterday. I'm just contacting you today. So I sent her the email that I got about it not working and the timestamp on it. And then she hit me back, and she hit me back basically with like an oh shit email. They told me that it wasn't working from, she said something about how they fixed it since 8 o'clock. Just, you had to get reprogrammed. And the person that contacted me the second time it wasn't working contacted me after 8 o'clock. So,
but that's unacceptable. You can't, if someone's telling you it's not working, you can't just take someone's word for it. Send a third party to find out. Or like Viper did, take your ass down there, excuse my language, take your butt down there and find out yourself. At this point, we cannot afford for you to just be like, oh, I guess so. And how many interviews has she done where she said, well, I believe so. Why is she okay with that statement? I believe so.
Well, she has, like I tell you, Nuke, she has a lot of people lying to her. And, you know, I don't accept it, but I get it, kind of, sort of. And I don't think it's acceptable, but I understand, I see it. All right, you're the president of New York City Transit. Are you going to all these terminals yourself? No. Are you, you're relying on local supervision and other supervisors to give you information. Just like, for example, with progressive action, Tramel can't be everywhere. He relies on me to give him information, you to give him information. Now, if we're not giving him the right information, he's not going to assume that we're going to lie to him. You know what I'm saying? But
that works the first 10 times. Now she's on 20. Because if that's the case, if Tramel felt that way about you, he'll send me to check up on you.
Exactly.
I mean, and we actually had that case go on with progressive action. So
right. So that's how you need a checks and balance. You can't just
got to be held accountable, right? I mean, we can't just say that she's that ignorant. She's the president of the MTA. You don't get the luxury to be ignorant. You don't get the luxury to say,
what I can say is that, like, what I've noticed, mostly all the higher ups, they have a disconnect because they never was directly in transit. So it's like they don't really know how everything goes on. So of course they have to rely on the lower supervision to tell them like, oh, everything's going great. But instead of them like being like Viper and being hands-on to see like what's really going on, like right now would be the perfect time for them to come out and be in the street, be at the stations, be at the terminals to see what's going on, because it's less people on the street. I'm sure they have a car that can drive them any and everywhere that they want to go in the system. But it's just basically, oh, I got this job, so I don't really have to worry about the very minute details that's going on in the system.
Now I want to show y'all this video real quick of the cleaners actually cleaning. These cleaners who she said that she couldn't answer if $18 was enough for them. Let me know what y'all guys think of this video. Y'all see it?
Yeah.
Now let's be real.
That's unbelievable.
Let's be real. Who could sit there and clean at that level for 8 hours, 5 to 7 days a week? Because they probably gonna be working 7 days. They not covered under the same contract that we covered. And they not even working in no type of like unison. They just going where the next person is at and wiping. It reminds me of a car wash. And when you have to go back and say, yo, you missed the spot right here, or give me that rag and let me clean my own joint. That's what it looked like to me.
That's crazy.
I have the photo from the outside of that. That's a photo op. There's a person there recording, not that particular recording. There's a person there recording. And guess who's sitting on the bench waiting to go back on the train?
The homeless.
The same homeless people that they claim to have removed. So they did that while people were filming, and then it went back to normal. It's all bullshit.
This is
all bullshit.
Watch the language. We get fined now for that.
It's sorry.
Nothing but GGG has been doing nothing but damage control. Every time, all this is nothing. You're right, Nuke. This is nothing but photo ops and just straight damage control. They're playing damage control to another level. We're calling us co-workers and feeling for us, and like this is all BS, man. They don't care, man. They like the young lady said, it's like a disconnect. They have like completely no connection to us. Most of them are older white people in their upper 50s, upper 60s, making $200,000, $300,000 a year. Like, what type of connection do they really have with us?
And don't even ride the subway.
You know, what type of connection do they have with us? There's no connection. You know, other than we're all human beings.
You're right. You're right.
It. You know what? Like, I don't believe in ever saying anybody is overpaid, because I want to make more money, and I feel like I always want to make more money. So I don't think I have the right to be like, you're overpaid when I want to make more money. I feel like I'm underpaid. But for them to make, but for the MTA, to execs in the MTA to make as much money as they make, they do a horrible job compared to the other big city. They do a horrible job. Like, they're some of the highest paid. And I know the MTA, compared to the other agencies, we're actually a revenue stream company. But you compare their salaries to all the other execs in like sanitation, corrections, and I'm not saying they don't make good money, but they're not making $350,000 a year. You know what I'm saying?
They make more than the president.
Exactly. All these execs in the MTA make big money. They're the highest paid out of all the other agencies, and they do a horrible job when it comes to us workers compared to the other agencies. You go into the precincts, they have big barrels of hand sanitizer with the dispensers on it. You know, like the barrels that people send out of country?
Yeah.
They got every precinct has like a big barrel that you could just fill up. It's just embarrassing.
Zaire, how would you feel? Because you in the film business. So how would you feel that you get a boss who never even took a picture with a camera before, telling you how to do your job, and when something go wrong, they don't got the answers to it? Does that make sense to you?
No, it doesn't make sense, but it's the result of what happens when people aren't accountable. Once you aren't accountable, once these things happen for so long, it's hard to turn it around. You know what I mean? And if the people that are in position at transit have never had to answer, there's never been a backlash, really. There's never been, the job hasn't been really in jeopardy of them not doing these things that you guys have issue with, then they've been skating along this thing for the longest time right now. They've been skating. And so when these bumps in the road do come up, like what you have right now, everybody's scrambling, and best believe, sitting in the back, they're not trying to lose the position that they have. So they're going to try to make this work in their favor still. And who's expendable? Like, they feel like, and this is any job, everybody is replaceable. Everybody's replaceable. So when you find yourself in a position like that, it is time to like change management. There's got to be some shakeup within that realm, or else it doesn't change. It'll never be a change in what you're trying to get at.
I mean, the only way to change management with us is that we got to change Cuomo. because he basically hires and appoint, the people here. Sarah Feinberg, she came from the Obama administration. Like if you look at her profile on the MTA website, it says she came from Obama administration. She did all this, but it don't point out that she has been appointed every part of her career. She didn't earn anything. Like even when she was a part of the Obama administration, they left out that her husband at the time was a part of the Obama administration. So who's better to plug you in than your significant other? That's how things work. Is nepotism. Yo, I got a friend. It's natural. It's a natural way of life. But when you get to them, they act like it don't exist. Like, no, I earned this on my own. No, you didn't. Because even at New York City Transit, how did she get the job over someone like Barry Greenblatt or Sally Labrera, who been here, who know the job more than she knows it? You know what I'm saying? One time when I first was put on to her, she was on a platform with her baby with a vest on. And that's where me and her started the interaction before she was anyone who she is now. So she didn't know the job then. She definitely don't know it now. And that's why they fumbling and bumbling and making all these mistakes. Because I guarantee you, if Byford was still here, we would have had PPE way earlier than what we got it. There's still people out here saying that they're not getting the proper protective equipment.
I just don't understand why with 100 people and counting dead, is she okay with not knowing? Like, how do you sleep at night? How are you okay with that?
Because it's people that don't look like her. I mean, it's as simple as that. You don't even have to be racist to understand that. Like even us Black people, when this coronavirus first hit, the first thing we was ignorantly saying was that it's not affecting us, right? So you made the conscious decision to see, oh, it's killing Chinese people. Oh, it's in Europe now. It's killing, who's in Europe? It's killing Europeans. Now it's killing us in America, mostly, people of color. So you don't have to be racist to make that comparison. And it's different. Like, listen to Cuomo talk. They said it went from China to Italy. Cuomo won't say Italy. He say Europe.
No, he said Italy quite a few times, enough for me to go, well, why he keeps saying Italy so much?
He stopped
Somebody must have told him out on that.
He stopped saying it. Now he says Europe. So it won't be drastic amongst his people, right? Why is that? Nobody don't want to make their people look bad. Only damaged people do that. Only us Black people would throw dirt on Africa.
Right.
Because we was taught not to like Africa. As a kid, oh, you're an African booty scratcher. You know what I'm saying? We was taught to hate each other from kids, right? Hate ourselves from kids. So nobody consciously who wasn't taught to hate each other is go throw dirt on a nation. Only we gonna do that, right? So I don't expect him to say, yeah, Italy, the people who went to Italy brought that out, because he's identifying his own people. So he's just not gonna do that.
Wow, it's funny you mentioned Italy. If you Google South America, right, almost every country in South America, first coronavirus incident is connected to Italy. Either somebody from Italy, either somebody from South America was returning home from visiting Italy, or someone from Italy was visiting a country in South America. Pretty much every country in South America. Even Freeland Island is because of Italy. It's a tourist from Italy brought coronavirus over there. Like Italy was hit really bad.
Yeah. I mean, watch Cuomo press conference from today. He just say Europe. He won't say Italy.
I'm telling you, someone called him out on that, because the other day he said it like 3-4 times. I'm surprised he's saying that, because I wouldn't do it.
I mean,
if that's where my family from, I'm
probably trying to turn the tide now, because remember the White House changed the narrative. First they were saying China, now they say, oh, it came from Italy. They stopped all the flights from China, but didn't stop anything from Europe or Italy, right? So everything came here and affected us.
We got checks and balances also, right? I mean, we can blame Cuomo, we can blame Feinberg, we can blame Pat Foy, but we have a system in place to actually push back on them, right? I mean,
allegedly.
Well, yeah, right. But when we say you have to change, like Zaire said, you have to change from the top. Well, our top really let them. I mean, when we talk about nepotism, right? You almost have to question where that line links, right? How is it that the people who get paid to represent us, our legal representation, essentially has said nothing against the people who have contributed to us dying? There's been no push. There's been no public pushback, really, from any unions. If you look across the board, I mean, you haven't seen any police department unions. You haven't seen the fire department. The mayor just said he's going to cut EMTs if he doesn't get funding. No one's spoken out from their union. The hospitals union, right? None of their leadership have spoken out. This is what always leads me to believe there's a lot of money behind the scenes getting dished, and there's going to be the lower end people who are going to be the burden.
Well, we know for a fact that MTA pays local 100. So are we really surprised? There's going to always be some form of corruption when you're dipping in both pots.
I don't think did y'all see the video today of Earl Phillips saying that?
That's the worst, man. Yo, that dude is the worst.
Did you see it?
Yeah, when he was in the room talking to 3 people, like he was Malcolm X, 80 people. Nah,
Gomez, you seen it?
When they saw the news that we had 6.
Gomez, you seen it?
Don't disingenuous, right? Like,
how many times he said,
at home. When you get home, take your clothes off, leave them in the front door, and
I mean, I swore I heard him say that if the TA wasn't listening to them at first.
Yes.
I think, a matter of fact, let me just play the video because I got it. Let me play the video because this is crazy what he said.
Wasn't listen.
He said him and Tony Utano are not Jesus.
I'm gonna play it right now. Hold on. I'm gonna play it right now.
When they saw the news that we had 61 of our members die, and that's what brought water from my eyes. And the first thing I thought about is, is that we're all in this together. We all come to work, never expect to be doing something like this. We all want to get home to our families. And then what happened, our anxiety level is so high, and we lean on each other for support. And, if you talk about unity, this is real unity when the transit workers, the members, lean on each other for support. I went to locations and hear members speaking to each other about what they do when they get home, how to take care of themselves and their families. That is real support. When this whole thing started in January, the president and us, we sat down at the table with the New York City bus and subway heads up and fight with these bastards. If they had listened to us, we would be in a better place today. I'm only Earl Phillips. This is only Tony Utana. We are not Jesus Christ. We don't know who's going to die tomorrow. We don't predict that. But we know if you listen to us and work collectively with us, we'll be in a better place together. But again, we're in this together. We're going to bring the troops home together. And as the president said, whoever comes again down the road as the president, we're going to set a foundation here to continue to build on. So again, I can't thank you so much. It's painful, but practice safe distancing. When you get to work and you don't have the correct PPE, just ask for your PPE. These clothes that you're working in, do not take them in your house. Don't take them in your house, guys. When you get home, put them in a bag. You're right. Take off your shoes, clean them, spray them. Don't take these in your house, otherwise you will destroy your families. You have to adjust from yesteryear to today. If not, you will destroy your whole families. We didn't get a lot of education in this when we first began, but we learn from each other. So thank you so much. Stay safe, and we'll.
Yo, don't let everybody speak at once. Everybody don't speak at once.
Oh my God.
Captain Obvious. Earl Phillips, Captain Obvious.
Yo.
They didn't listen to us? What do we pay you for?
So hold on. No, on a serious note, he said that they didn't listen to us when this thing first started. So they didn't listen. They didn't get PPE. 116 workers is dead right now. Why didn't they stop the work?
Work stoppage. Exactly. Why
not? That's why they didn't stop it.
I personally feel like our union response, our safety is just as much our union responsibility as it is our employer's responsibility. For our union to make us wait for the MTA to give us PPE is an embarrassment, and they all need to get impeached. Every single one of them need to lose their job, and they need to get impeached. There's no way in hell they can survive. They need to die with the coronavirus, not literally, but figuratively. Their term, this has to be the end of Stand United. There was a video, Eric himself, the guy that was sitting in the corner not talking when Philip was saying whatever he was saying. Eric Lickell himself said that if it was up to him, he wouldn't wait on the TA to provide stuff, but yet he allowed us to wait for the union to provide. But him and the union allowed us to wait for the MTA to provide us stuff. Like, this shit is a slap in the face for them to make us wait. I don't care if it's policy, if it's in contract that the TA is supposed to provide this stuff. For them to wait for multiple members to start dying before they started providing this stuff was asinine. We pay them millions of dollars a year. Millions of dollars a year. I think, I think you told me that they spent about $10,000 on masks or something to that extent. Didn't Utano
it was something little.
Yeah, didn't Utano spend almost $8,000 at Disney World last year in Orlando on some union business? So come on, let's do the math. So there's money for him to go to Orlando to take care of union business. And I'm not saying that wasn't important. Maybe it was. But there's not money to buy masks for your members?
Wait, how much did Earl pay to be the marshal of the parade? I still remember that one.
It was ridiculous.
I think like 25 or 40,000.
It's just ridiculous. This union leadership is an embarrassment. And my last statement is: look who's in charge. Look who's running this union. Why operational positions? We need to take back control of this union, because we're the ones that's dying. We're the ones that's suffering. Why is operations? How can we expect people in these non-operation titles to understand what us frontline operational workers are going through? Like, how can Utano, like, the proof is in the pudding, every contract. Buses get a little less, RTO gets a little less. It always seems like maintenance comes up a little bit.
Stations, forget about it.
And I'm not saying that maintenance don't deserve what they get. I feel like it's a slap in the face that they don't make the same scale pay as union workers. To me, it's ridiculous that a local 3 electrician is making almost $60 an hour, but an electrician in transit is making $36, $37 an hour. To me, it's a slap in the face to them. So they should be getting paid more. But there's no way in hell I feel like maintenance away needs to be in charge of this union, because the operational position, even when it's contract time, when we talk about doing things in buses, doing things in RTO, look who we have in charge of the union. How is that how is that really going down? Utano's just sitting down doing nothing. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. I don't know any other way to say it. It's an embarrassment. And if people don't start opening their eyes and seeing what's going on, there's a reason buses has the most deaths. There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it.
Well, a bus operator is an unhealthy job, right? I mean, think about sitting down for 11 hours a day. I walk out of my house, I get in my car, I drive to work, I get out of my car, I drive a bus for 11 hours. I get out at 2 in the morning, I come out, get back in my car, drive home, take a shower, go to sleep. All day long, my heart did nothing, right? And then the stress of turning your head every 2 to 5 seconds. Then the stress of dealing with everything that goes on. Then worrying about everything that's going on politically at the job. Then you wonder if you're being properly represented. It is so, and that's all titles. But I think one big part of what's happening now is them keeping the members deaf, dumb, and blind is coming back to really bite them in you know what. Because when the pandemic smacked and everybody who was the leaders of every department got sick, there was no one. I mean, even on the superintendent level, on the dispatcher level, on the operations level, the whole system collapsed when you literally have 5 people of management in each area. As it goes down the level, 5 people get sick, there weren't 2 people to step in and take their place. Half other departments don't know how to run other departments. You have the president of the union and Earl Phillips, who just said in the video, if they don't give you PPE, ask for it. We already got a bulletin for that. They already have a memorandum about that. If they don't give you PPE, you don't work, period. That's not a negotiable factor. I'm not asking you for nothing. When I go back to work, you remember when Tupac got shot and he was on the ambulance and they give him the middle finger? When I go back to work and they don't hand me what I'm supposed to have, I'm not begging you. I'm going to the window, I'm reporting. Do you have my PPE? Oh, it's in the union office? The union office is locked. What would you recommend I do? I'm not moving. Should I go home? Okay, no problem. Even people now, they're being told that when they go to the MAC, they're only taking a certain amount of people at the MAC. And if you're coming back to clear yourself and the MAC can't see you because they're only taking 8 people, that you got to go home and use your sick time? What?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Who's allowing that?
If you listen to Earl Phillips' narrative during that, he said, we're about to bring the troops home, right? So
what does that even mean?
No, I don't know. But what soldiers you put in the field and the soldiers is in a war zone and they got to ask for guns.
Right.
You know, you give me a gun, but you don't give me no bullets. What I'm supposed to do? Back them down?
Yeah.
You're supposed to use rocks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you supposed to do? Actually, the union put us in this war zone. And as a result of them putting us in this war zone, they put passengers in this war zone. Because if the passengers was getting us sick, we was getting the passengers sick too. Because we in the customer service role too. I mean, Zaire, how many times I randomly bump into you on my train and we have a random conversation?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. Days before I was getting sick, it was GOs going on. So I'm outside of my cab door explaining to passengers what's going on the F, face to face, no mask, no nothing. And at that time, I was feeling symptoms, but I just thought it was my asthma and my pump wasn't working. So there's no telling how many people I affected as a passenger. And I'm quite sure when the dust settles in this, there's going to be some passengers that's going to say, hey, I got sick from New York City Transit, because the governor, what he's doing is he's smoke screening all of this. They want to use the homeless as a reason to disinfect the subways because they know that the subways is transporting this virus. Why do you think that there's not a lot of attention on buses right now? Yes, bus operators is getting it too, but there's no greater way. Is what they say, follow the money, right? Mm-hmm. What part of the system make most of the money?
Yeah,
that's the part of the system where most of the virus is, right? So it's the same exact analogy with that. So they trying to scapegoat the homeless. Oh, you know what? We go blame this on the homeless and we're going to disinfect the subways. We've been asking them to do this for the longest. I've been saying since I came here, my son would never ride this subway because I see how they clean the subway. No, never. You know what I'm saying? Now they want to clean the subway. Now they want to do 30, 60, 90-day protective, whatever kind of practice that they go use to clean this stuff. It's all BS, man. They lying to us.
It's PR, because like you said, you hit it exactly right? The passengers started really getting hit to the fact that, the trains is making people sick. The news started calling and locals, council people started saying, hey, you got to shut this train down. Like, we're all acknowledging that the train is the conduit for this disease. And now we're calling for it to be shut down. So they started this whole PR stunt and started blaming the homeless. And then they were almost supporting more people putting out pictures so they can have justification for it. But let me just ask y'all a question on topic, off topic. Is there a point when our coworkers kind of have to take some of the blame? Because they did give everyone, 5 days to call sick with no documentation required. in essence, that was a week that everyone could have taken off and literally crippled the system.
Who got sick days?
Huh?
You got sick days to give me?
Well, I haven't been paid since the 22nd of
No,
March.
I took my 5 no pay, but I'm saying most people don't have. I mean, if they don't have the sick days, they're not taking them.
No, do you agree? Sometimes you got to walk to work when they shut the bus boycott down, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, you might. All right, look, kids, guess what? Oodles and noodles for a week. That check gonna be a little light.
But let me ask you this.
That's why we here right now.
What
That's
if
why we speaking up right now. Everyone, I mean, you can't say that for everyone else. A lot of our members, a lot of our co-workers are asleep. A lot of them are scared. A lot of them are living beyond their means. A lot of them have to take care of multiple households. So they're worrying about the money. People are actually making a decision between their health. Like there's people with underlying health conditions still coming to work because they need that check.
Right.
And that's how the TA have us by not paying us living wages.
Right.
And that's how they have us by that whole culture of fear. This is what was created. So right now is they're benefiting off of the fear and the low pay.
Right. And knowing their workforce, right? The fact that we are majority of one specific demographic.
Right.
There is something called a predictable society, right? If you put a certain amount of people in one specific environment, they'll react a certain way. They know every contract. They watch Facebook. They see people chat and say, man, listen, I can't afford to strike. Man, you could go ahead and strike. I'm going to do this overtime and do this. It's all data and they all collect it and they know exactly what buttons to push and what buttons to not push. And I don't think, what Tremette was talking about a few weeks ago, that they didn't respond because, they felt the need to. They responded because there was no trains about to run. There was no buses running. 80%, 70 people were sick and people was not coming to work.
But did you see how they spent that narrative? Like it was like they made a conscious decision, we're going to cut off the C line. I was there that day when they said, oh no, we got to send them up to the A. We only have 3 crews. That wasn't a conscious decision. No one was there. But they told the media that they wanted to disperse personnel to essential lines. That was cute.
but Alex, you right though. You could blame the members for certain aspects, like for working unsafe. It costs you nothing to work. I can understand some people ain't got 5 days, and believe it or not, there's people out here working OT and they kids still eating oodles and noodles. You know what I'm saying? For whatever situation. So you can't say, we could say sacrifice, but then they won't be eating nothing, right? So everybody's situation is different, but nobody didn't have to work unsafe, right? They could have did that. Nothing is stopping people from picking up the union contract and learning their contract. Nothing is it costs nothing to do that, right? So those same people who make mistakes be those same people, be the first thing to do a link and drink, but won't go to a rally, won't watch a video that's going to teach them and educate them on a safety rule dispute resolution form, right? So the TA know who they hired. They know that it's sad to say, I talk about race all the time, but when you're dealing with a whole bunch of Black people who come from our backgrounds and they watching Facebook now, they got intel. They can see exactly what we thinking on which day, who's thinking what. They know who's the threat. They know who's the bullshitter. They know what all of us is doing for the most part, right? So yes, most of the blame is on us with everything, because if we held the union accountable, we would have a different union.
Right. You're only as good as your leader, right? I mean, the union keeps us dumb, right? I mean
what is sheep without sheep herder?
Right.
But that's the same thing in our communities with our local elections. We don't participate in that either.
I know.
So it's like, that's the culture of it, unfortunately.
How is it that you guys will post something about an IOD, or you'll post something about a safety resolution, and literally you have 200 comments of people asking, what's that? And you're not talking about people who've been on the job for a month. You got people on the job 15, 16 years. Like, yo, what is that? No, they told me that I have to have it. What? How do you not know that? But you know why they don't know? Because the depots and unions that we have don't want their shop stewards out there working. They don't want us throughout the course of a day. They're not really holding shop gates throughout the course of the day. They're not really keeping people just engaged, right? So in some sense, by keeping people disenfranchised from the union, you get a membership that is uneducated and unrelenting to want to sacrifice because they don't feel part of the union. They feel like they're their own entity. They feel like if they buck management, there's a chance they could get fired and nobody's going to hold them down. I think that fear is greater than the actual not getting paid. It's more about getting fired. Like, what happens if I do this and then I don't have sick days and nobody's giving me instructions on how to move? Like, if you had someone in the depot at the depot level, hey, listen, guys, look, you got them 5 days. Here's what you need to do. Not like, well, there is 5 days, and if you want to use it, it might help. No, that's not leadership. That's not leadership. That's passive aggressive. That's not what you want from people who are responsible for protecting your livelihood.
Right.
It's a completely different thing.
And there's a saying out there, like when you're dealing with the union, they play this ill mind game of we're all brothers and sisters. We all here for each other, right? There's this saying, this analogy where there's an axe in the forest cutting down trees, and the trees thought the axe was their friend because the axe handle was made out of wood, right? So it's the same thing here with our union. Yeah, we are in the same union by default. You didn't handpick us, right? You didn't say I want you on my team. I want you. No, I don't want you. You inherited us. Like, you can't choose family. You can't choose who's gonna be in your union or not. In your family, you have crackheads. You have this person that's still. You have all of that in your family, right? But you accept them. You don't have to deal with them, but you accept them. Now they use this whole we're brothers, we're sisters, and all this other kind of crazy stuff when they need us. Where were they at? You see Earl Phillips and Tony Utano and all the other VPs at Stillwell Avenue hiding behind the MTA. Where were they at before this whole disinfecting of the trains was going on? Where was they hiding at? Where was Utano at? No, I'm saying Utano, he has to be the worst president in the history of Local 100.
Talk about nepotism, boy. Talk about nepotism. Oh,
every type of ism.
Who do you have to know to get that job and just know nothing? Like, he can't even speak.
The person that came before you, because they trying to do that with Chiarello too. They trying to pass it down to him after Utano done with it.
Yeah, you know,
it's crazy.
Playing a different game. They playing a different game.
In our department in RTO, I know we have to start treating each other better. Like, it's easy to say members this, members that, and the union this and the union that. Why would they care? Like you said, bro, everybody watches everything going on in Facebook. Everybody knows what's going on. Like, our department is so volatile, and there's no, it's like people are, it's ridiculous. Like, the way in our department in RTO that they attack each other, it's just ridiculous. Like, there's no respect for each other. There's no, I remember Tremel was talking to you a couple of days ago about some woman that put in the Progressive Action page, how progressive is progressive action. And it's like, just like that, if you look at and not all the media outlets or whatever, but if you look at most of the media that's been going on about what's going on with our conditions, it's been from progressive action. If you look at most of the media, you know, like, just because we don't put everything on the internet, just, you know, I read that and I'm like, how are you attacking the people in your department that's not elected for the most part, that's on the front lines, putting their necks on the line, putting their jobs on the line for the betterment of the department, and you guys is attacking us? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And most of the time, it's people that do nothing. It's people that do nothing. That's why, my new thing is the block people, the block irrelevant people. I'm like the block master right now. You don't do anything, you blocked. Well, you don't. I never seen you at a union meeting. You talking crazy? Block. Like, because I go to both. I go to conductor and train operator union. I don't see
and we can't even get it twisted, because you got some people that attack union all day and don't attack management, and people will get blinded and clouded and, oh, they fighting for the people. How? Show me one email. Show me 10 emails that you got getting at management.
Bro, and it's funny you say that, because I could name off, like, that really bothered me with that how progressive, because I could name off so many things just off the top. Like, extra people ain't getting masks. Who fixed that? Progressive Action fixed that. Like, you know what I'm saying? We and the receipts is just here, and it's just like, just so many things we could just go on and on and on about. And it's always these people that do nothing. Like, they do nothing. And I know we're in a union, everybody's a member, everybody's important, and I believe that to a certain degree, but it's like all these attacks about nothing. It's like, and like you said, they're quicker to attack us before they'll attack the union or management. You know, it's almost like, because it's easy to start some Facebook drama about one of us, because they know the members are going to sit there and talk. These are the same members getting on the train without masks. These are the same members, when there's no hand sanitizer in the terminal, they still working. Like, it's just ridiculous. Our department really needs to get it together, man. And you know,
it's not your department.
It all starts from the top. You know, Legella's a horrible, you know, he's a horrible VP. He's not a leader of men. Like, he's an intelligent person for the most part, but he's not a leader. You know, he's not a leader. And if you're going to be a VP of a department, you have to be a leader. You have to be willing to put your neck on the line for your members. And he's not doing any of that. He's had this department running around from the very, this department running around like chickens without their heads on, searching for information, for information, what to do this. A lot of information we got in this department from the media, or after management puts out the bulletin. How are we finding out something's going to happen after the bulletin?
Right.
Yeah.
Are they not, like, you're the VP of the department? Are they not telling you? You know, it's just all around. It's just horrible, man. It's just horrible.
Now, Jenae, you're in stations. What's going on in your department?
Well, from the time I left, it was still like scarce on supplies. I've heard that superintendents is telling stationers that they're not getting supplies because they're not taking any cash right now at the booth. But I'm like, that's besides the point, because you still got customers still come up to ask questions. You still have CTAs who have to come in and clean the booth if they clean the booths. So that's as far as I know of what's going on. And we still have a lot of agents that's still out. Like, I'm still out. I don't go back to the 18.
But what's up with your union representation?
What representation?
Yeah.
But how are you supposed to get to the booth? You just like genie your way to the booth? Like, you got to walk through people to get there. How do they justify that?
It's crazy.
Nah, you got to get that safety resolution dispute form.
Well, I guess they don't care what happens prior to coming to work.
Resolution form, excuse me.
You know,
that's crazy.
They let me get into this next. I got the video finally up now. I want to just play this real quick.
20%, 70 to 80, 19%. But 51 years old is old. Okay. Then I am very old. Transportation method, we thought maybe they were taking public transportation, and we've taken special precautions on public transportation, but actually no, because these people were literally at home. 2% took car services, 9% were driving their own vehicle. Only 4% were taking public transportation, 2% were walking. 84% were at home, literally. Were they working? No. They were retired or they were unemployed. Only 17% working. So that says they're not working, they're not traveling, they're predominantly downstate, predominantly minority, predominantly older, predominantly non-essential employees, and that's important. We were thinking that maybe We were going to find a higher percentage of essential employees who were getting sick because they were going to work, that these may be nurses, doctors, transit workers. That's not the case. And they were predominantly at home. So now that's only 3 days. That's just about 100 hospitals, 1,000 people. But it reinforces what we've been saying, which is much of this comes down to what you do to protect 20%, 70.
Now, wait, hold on one second. Let me see how I can cut. Let me cut this off.
Okay.
He pulling the okie doke. So he said only 4% take public transportation. Most of them is retired and unemployed. Predominantly not traveling, predominantly not working, predominantly non-essential employees, predominantly home. That sounds like to me that, hey, it's safe to take public transportation because essential employees is not getting sick. Most of the people who's sick is not working. They not traveling. They mostly at home, or they mostly retired and unemployed. So how is all these people getting sick?
That's because the essential workers are getting them sick.
That's not his narrative is don't worry about it. It's the black and brown loafers and old people that's sick.
Yeah.
It's safe to come outside now. That's what it sounds like.
How do he explain all these deaths at New York City Transit?
He can't. He can't.
How do you explain that?
He's hoping nobody's going to ask that.
Zaire, you believe?
Keep our numbers quiet. Nobody talks about how many all the time.
You believe those numbers, Zaire? You believe what the governor's saying?
I mean, they don't even know. Like this is all like guesswork that they're doing. You can't say, so if these people are retired, then why are they on? Then how? Number one, the thing is, they're not testing that many people. So if you're at home, you don't really know because those people aren't tested. So obviously, the people that are outside are the ones that are being infected and maybe infecting others. Because if you really sheltered in place, you weren't sick, you didn't get sick. You didn't just get sick out of nowhere. So I believe like a lot of these numbers, you got to remember they need to come up with numbers to reinforce the things that they say. That list that he made of who's getting infected was all a contradiction of each other. Like they don't even go together. So it's just like the most random things that you can find that kind of like build a demographic and is vague enough to blanket everything. So it's political nonsense. It's just fudged numbers. And the reality that we have to understand is that these people are never gonna tell us the truth. And if we really understand that we're never going to get the truth, then you kind of understand that what you have to do. You know what I mean? Stop looking to them to give you the answers. They're never going to give you the proper answers. And it's always going to work out in their best interests. And so now Cuomo is in a spot. He's in a tight spot because in the beginning he started this thing. He was all about making everybody safe. This whole thing had to be safe. And now the conversation is we need to weigh these lives against these dollars. So the narrative is changing within 45 days. The narrative has changed, but the implications from the disease haven't changed. So how can we change one thing and the other? The catalyst for these changes hasn't changed. But now we're trying to make changes of these things, but our problem is still the same. So, it's never, I think as Black people, these people have never told us the truth, never been honest. They've never stuck to their word. Like they've never. That's the whole thing about it. It's never been right. It's never been right. So us expecting that now it's supposed to be right or they're going to somehow tell us the truth, it's us, it's the blind leading the blind, really.
What's on your mind, Kemp?
We have to, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nuke, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he hit it right. I mean, we are the crab in the barrel, right? And and they always play us against each other with misinformation, with disinformation. And, to the point of what we know, how we know it, and when we know it, we're always the last to know everything. I mean, they were literally shutting the trains down, and people didn't even have a plan of action on where they were working up until the day before. I mean, literally, they planned this a week in advance. And on Tuesday night, people did not know what they were going to be working on Wednesday. That is crazy. Their buses, they didn't even know how they were covering the shuttles. They said they released through the union, and someone did like a couple of Facebook chats, like, oh, we're going to have 300 buses. And this is what we've been told from the DOB. But this wasn't told to the members. Like, they didn't even tell anybody how it was going to work. And they still didn't know up until last night. I think people was finding out that they weren't even prepared last night. Like, they didn't know what they were doing with the homeless. Supposedly, there was supposed to be people there stopping the homeless from getting on the bus. Then the buses, the cops were pushing the homeless people onto the bus. The people who were supposed to sign up for the cab, they weren't even getting responded to. I remember they asked Feinberg that in the press conference on the night she opened, and she was like, well, I don't know if my data is current. I had it from like 3 hours ago, but from what I understand is pretty much we're telling people if there's a bus in your area, then we're pushing you towards those buses. And if not, then just wait and maybe we'll have a cab for you. I mean, to the point of how many people the trains actually carry. When you take a train that's not even carrying anybody with no service, and you still have to put 300 extra trips on buses, and that still doesn't solve the problem. We don't have solutions for the problems they've created. I'm still trying to figure out when another wave comes in October, what are you gonna do again? Because there's still not gonna be watching those people clean the trains. That is a joke. That's like my son cleaning his room to go outside. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're dead. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you said you like, I'm ready, Dad. I'm like, wait, wrong. You know what I'm saying? And they asked her that, and then she passed the buck over to somebody else. They're like, so a reporter asked. He said, so what happens when you open back up the trains and the train's been deeply cleaned, and one person comes on and touches the pole? That train's not getting deep cleaned again until the end of the night. She's like, oh, well, at the end of each side, someone's going to clean the term at each terminal, each trip. But that doesn't solve the problem that 1,300 people just got on this train and all touched the same pole and sat in the same seat. It is no resolution. And anyone who believes that, again, it's just all PR for the people who they want to put back on the train to get back to work.
You're right about that, because it's not like the virus go say, hold on, we're not going to affect anybody until we get to the other end of the terminal.
Yeah.
And then
the guy next to you is like this.
Yeah. What you was going to say, Nuke?
No, we have to go back to Cuomo's original reportings where he said he suspected that we were going to open up by May. He's trying to meet that May deadline. So that's why his narrative is changing. Because you have to keep in mind, the summer is big for New York. That's when all the tourists come. That's when we make the most money. So for him to keep the city closed during that time, he's not going for that. So now it's like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. It's safe to start coming back outside. You see how they're not really doing anything with the people that are sitting out in the park. They're handing out masks to them, right? Well, that's a whole nother subject between the tale of two cities. But the people that are sitting in the park, they're giving out masks and not telling them to go home. They're trying to reopen the city slowly but surely because he wants it open by the end of May. That's it.
Well, yeah, I agree. And they want to open up by the end of May to get the wheels turning right for the city fiscal. With the city fiscal year is in July, I think July 1st.
Yeah.
So they want to get all that in place and to get that the city's fiscal year going. Now, Zaire, speaking of the fiscal year, like I said, me and you had a conversation, and you brought up a good point to me about people who work, like let's just say they say a lot of us live check to check, right? Now we don't make a lot of money, so it's very possible for us to live check to check. You stated that these billion-dollar companies, they crying broke after 2 months, like American Airlines, and so after 2 months of low business, because they still flying planes. So 2 months of low business, they are crying broke and asking for bailouts.
Yep.
Can you touch on that?
So what I was saying is, you know, and I've worked with a lot of these companies. Like I did some extensive work with Delta, and if you look now, they've kind of stopped. Flights stopped probably like mid-March. We slowed down really by mid-March, end of March, and so right now, so let's give them mid-March. Mid-March, we almost in mid-May right now. That's 2 months. So in 2 months' time, $1 billion company whose CEOs make tens of millions of dollars, they don't have any reserve, or there's nothing in their coffers for them to sustain themselves for 2 months, which is almost impossible to fathom. That's like if I make $10 million a year, 2 months shouldn't stop me. 2 months shouldn't shut me down. So these companies make billions of dollars a year, and in 2 months they're looking for federal help. They're looking for bailouts. But those same people the same people in those positions who offer those bailouts also say that the American public should have 2 to 3 months cushion. How are you going to tell your constituency that they should be able to last 2 or 3 months when you have billion-dollar companies that can't get by for 45 days, and now they're asking for bailouts? Those bailouts then come from these same people who you're standing on their backs, and our tax dollars then go to bail out these companies, who then don't turn around and give that benefit back to the customer. They're not going to slash any prices, not going to give you any free plane tickets. They're not going to give you anything. They're going to raise the price, which is what they've been doing continuously this entire time. So that lie that they tell it's based on the capitalism. It's the money. We're never going to spend our own money. So if we get to the point where we're not making money, we're going to find an alternative to bring money in, but we're never going to spend our money. We're never going to take care of our employees with our money. We're going to look for you to bail us out, but they're not looking to bail out the common man. So they're never going to bail you out. They're going to continuously bail them out. And I think that is something that the people don't look at. We don't look at what's being asked of us and then what's being asked of them. And they are really in positions to maintain their space. And we don't even ask them to maintain their space, but we ask somebody who is making $18 an hour that they should have enough money put away, that they should be able to maintain themselves for 2 or 3 months while this goes on. But a major company of that size is not held as accountable as a regular person. And that is a problem too. And that's the breakdown. There's no trickle down from the top to the bottom. So it all rests on the little guy.
Thanks.
That's a good point, because the MTA, they pull that same stunt. They crying broke. They need $1 billion bailout. Like, how can you want $1 billion bailout, but you letting these billionaires in New York, these $1 billion companies in New York, because really they are supposed to fund the transit system. We bring them their work. We bring them their business. They supposed to pay their fair share of taxes to fund the transit system. Ideally, the transit system should be free. It should be paid for by the corporations. But it's this, I got this thing called this reverse Robin Hood effect. You know, Robin Hood used to steal from the rich and give to the poor. They got this thing where they taking from us and making the rich even more rich. Like, even when I spoke on the show yesterday, and I know Zaire, you could attest to this, we know a lot of celebrities, right? How many times we go eat with celebrities and everything is paid for, not by the celebrity, but by the business owner who's happy that the celebrity is sitting in their business. Oh, don't worry about it. Everything is paid for, right? But the average man and woman go there, they making sure that we pay every penny, right? So it's the same concept, just on a bigger level when you're dealing with the corporations. You know, they get the slide free, but they looking to take from the people who actually make this business work. Because if, like I said, if you compare it to a restaurant, you may be a a returning customer. Like I eat at Benihana all the time. I am a returning customer. This celebrity may only come to this one time, right? But you treating them like the king instead of taking care of the people who's actually keeping this business afloat, right? So the MTA, they're already crying, we need billions of dollars, right? The state crying, we just want the 118 billion that the federal done took from us, right? You got Foy, now we seen you had Cuomo, we seen Feinberg today. Oh, hazard pay. All right. Who's supposed to give us the hazard pay? Everybody pointing to Trump, the federal government, right? Mm-hmm. All right, we go fool essential workers, and we gonna act like we advocating for them. Yeah, y'all should get hazard pay, but we ain't gonna give it to you. We gotta give it to Trump. So it's some Peter pay Paul type thing. No, if you really feel that we should have hazard pay, you front the hazard pay, and then you deal with Trump to get the money back. You asking for 118 billion, just ask for 119 billion now. You know what I'm saying? What's the difference? But they playing these games for us. They act like they advocating for us. I done seen articles about Target automatically giving their workers hazard pay. You know, all these supermarket chains automatically giving their workers extra $2, $3 an hour to say thank you for working during this pandemic, right? So this goes on to what you said, Alex. Who could you blame?
Right.
We gotta blame
one thing with that, especially like with these stores like a Target, or you have to understand they have competition, so they don't want to look bad. A lot of people don't want to look bad in this because you know what? If Target is not doing what they need to do, then I'm gonna find somebody else. But in the MTAs, they the only game in town, so they can run whatever nonsense they want to run. Ain't no other train to take, ain't no other bus to take. And if that's your means of transportation, no matter what, you know, every time the fare goes up, everybody complains, but they get on the train. And that's because it's the only game in town, and they know it. It's a racket. And which is why, I don't know, some time ago, when they were talking about there was something to come in that would have been competition to the MTA. And they didn't want to hear no parts of that, no parts of it. So that's the thing. Like a business who has competition has to adhere to what their audience wants. So you got to kind of make some concessions. You know, we got to do the right thing. We don't want to look bad or we lose our customer base. But the MTA, no, that's not a obstacle for them. They don't have that problem. So,
but it goes back to what Alexander said again. Who can you blame? The individuals that's not thinking as a collective, because the MTA is the only business in town. How about we don't ride the subway for a day, right?
Yeah.
and I don't believe that the TA lose money. They lying about that whole thing. Like let's just say the pandemic lasted 2 weeks, right? Most of the people buy monthly Metro cards. The MTA get their money up front.
Exactly.
You know how much, and you're a station agent, you know how much money people throw away on their cards.
Not only that, they go to the machines. The machines often take the money that they never get back, or they got like a year to replenish their old card with money on it. After the year, they lose the money on those cards. So MTA always has money. They're never gonna go out of money.
And like I said, most of their fares is prepaid. That's why you buy it don't matter. You buy an unlimited Metro card for a month, you could ride all day, right? The MTA got their money. They don't care. If they could sell a yearly pass for $1,200, they would do it. They would do it. And they have bad customer service when it's time for people to get their money back. You know what I'm saying? It's horrible customer service. But we've been on this thing for a long time. I want you guys to say a final word. I'm definitely looking to do this with you guys again very soon. Kemp, I think that I'm gonna just have to add you as a co-host, man.
Listen, I love
until you get back to work or something.
Yeah, you look, it keep me busy. I be counting my fingers. I be watching my kids in the house like, damn, I'm getting retarded. I'm losing my brain. I'm talking to 8-year-olds all day long.
I'm happy to have you here. We go start with Jenae. What you want to say to the people?
I just want to say, everybody stay safe, stay well. If you have been positive or tested, stay your behind home. Please do not spread, because this is no game. Stay home.
Nuke.
I said my piece. Same thing she said. I want everybody to remain safe. Keep sending those photos of what's going on, those videos to my inbox. I need to know what's going on throughout the system, not just the places I report to. That's about it.
And for those who don't know, Roberto Martinez, Nuke, Nas, I forgot who else did it, but they did a dope interview on Business Insider. We will be promoting that on a Progressive Action TV page. It was a good interview. Thank you, Nuke, for that interview.
Oh, subscribe to our YouTube, Progressive Action on YouTube.
I'm gonna get to that.
All right. Okay. I want to
Triple G.
Oh, shit. The only thing I want to say is everybody be safe. You know, if there's no PPE, don't work without PPE. Stop putting yourselves in these positions that you don't have to put yourself in. And as far as with these new car cleaners, from what I'm being told, if you leave the cab open, they'll clean your operating position. So that's something maybe you guys out in the field might want to think about doing. You know, just waiting a little extra so they clean the position, or ask them to clean the position first before they start in the train. This way you can lock it and then they can continue cleaning the train. I think it's important that our operating positions continue to be clean, because them cleaning the train but not cleaning our operating positions is like being half pregnant to me, as far as our safety and our health. You know, nobody wants to be half pregnant. What's the point of having a clean train with a dirty operating position? So I know our company only cares. If you ever hear the MTA do a press conference, it's always passengers, service, employees. Never do they talk about employees first. It's never employees first. So it's time. So, you know, it's very important that we put ourselves first. Got to start thinking about ourselves, self-preservation. That's all I got to say. Everybody have a good day.
You too, brother.
Alexander.
Yeah, I just really love my coworkers, man, and it's one of those things where I personalize a lot of it. Like, everything becomes personal because I know what we all here for. Like, I come home and kiss my kids. I know what that feeling's like. I know what it feels like to put food on the table. I know what it feels like to keep shelter over their head, and what are the means that provides that. It's very personal. And when I see people getting taken advantage of because they don't know no better, or just because they're not willing or don't understand what 60 years of collective bargaining has afforded them, there's been a lot of sacrifices to get those same benefits, and to let them dwindle away, or to let someone misinterpret those benefits without you actually knowing. It's very painful. So when people say you're essential and they say you're emergency, I know we're elite, because in the same way Tramel said, if you shut it down for a day, the same way the bus boycott, they took advantage, or they took for granted how valuable the black dollar was, until they removed it from the system and it crippled them. And they didn't think that people would be able to walk for a day. Then they didn't think it would be able to do it for 5 days, and they kept pushing the coin. And ultimately, they understood capitalism. You live in the United States of America. America is a business, not a country. It runs like a corporation from the top down. It is the reason why they begged and pleaded and praised all the low-level operators and all the low-level employees so fast when this thing happened, because we are the ones who run the country. But without us, they would be crippled. So they had to pander, and they had to throw all these emergency FMLAs and get the president to say, we're gonna do, and then they started giving the fine tuning to it. And then they said, well, no, you can't get it, you can't get it, you can't get it, because they realized people were still coming to work. If everybody would have just stayed the course. But again, not everybody has that luxury. So in that sense, I'm very compassionate. I know he said a final word, but it just, I've been sitting here for 35 days watching it play out, and it just, I want everybody that's like me and us to get what they deserve. And we're never gonna get it if we keep cherry picking what's important. What's important is protecting the nature of the job. And you know, I hope the more these conversations go on in this pandemic just leads us to a brighter day. But you know, peace.
Excellent, excellent. Zaire?
again, like everybody said, everybody should try to stay as safe as possible. But and I think with all this time, we should like start to use our own brains to, and evaluate the things that are being said to us. Don't just take these words because people on television are saying it. There's a lot of things just don't even make sense when you really just listen to the words and you put that against your own common sense. And I think we need to stop letting these people tell us what's going on, and more so we can see we're losing people. We see people, and I think in that way we should try to spend our own times trying to come up with our own evaluations of what's going on, and not let and put those against what we're being told, and find a middle space. Like I'm always one for kind of thinking for myself, and I think what's been happening to a lot of people is they just take the word like that's it, and that's not really going to be helpful. And to piggyback off of everything else about the MTA, it seems like you guys are living in the micro of this political system of this country. So just how this country has a president and all these senators and governors and everybody's working to make things work for them, and then the people at the lowest level feel it the worst. It's the same way it seems in the MTA. You got those guys at the top. They're doing all the deals that make it work for them, and by the time it trickles down to you, you are left out there. And what I always keep saying is there's got to be, at some point, there's got to be a unity, an awakening. And I think and I hope that after this pandemic is over, so many people, the MTA people, all the essential workers, they can see how valuable they are. And when they go back to the table, they go back to the table with that. And that's the main thing. And if all these people are going to come out every day and clap for you all at 7:00, then all of those people should be there to support you when you need to make a move to get what you want. And if those people aren't there, then there's a problem. And so now we got to start holding everybody accountable. And I think right now everything's broken down to the barest of levels, and you're going to really be able to see who's really real, who's really conscious of what's going on, who's just willing to play the game, and who doesn't care at all. And I think from there we can make some conscious decisions of how to move this whole thing forward. And that's on a societal scale in this country.
That's excellent. Excellent. So Nuke, now you could tell the people where they could follow us at, and yeah, just you know what to do.
Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our page. That will be on Progressive Action. On Twitter, we are Progressive Act, ACT. Follow us on Twitter, and like our Facebook page, Progressive Action TV.
There you go. Well, that's it. We'll catch y'all later. We go call this the progressive conversation. We're going to have a lot of conversations, people from different departments. If you're looking to Zoom, hit me up in my messenger and we'll try to put something together. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.